honestly think Zeke should probably take his medicine and move on. I think that there's not much to win and a lot to lose in Ezekiel Elliott's appeal. And let me explain to you why. The question for Ezekiel Elliott is guilt or innocence. It's not degree of guilt. It's not degree of accusation. It's not degree of allegation. It's guilt or innocence. If he's guilty, in the NFL's mind, of these allegations, he gets 6 games. If he's not guilty, it's 0 games. It's not 3, it's not 4, it's not 5. The debate is 6 versus 0. So the question is, can Zeke convince the NFL, a.k.a. Roger Goodell, who's both judge and appellate judge, which is always an awkward thing. You can appeal this decision back to me. In fact, that lays out the impossibility of Zeke's situation. How does someone pass judgment and then allow you to appeal it back to them? It's just not going to work. So what does Zeke stand to gain? He's not going to get this. I don't think he's going to convince Roger Goodell of his innocence in this charge. I think the risk, on the other hand, the cost of this appeal is that the NFL suggests they have thousands of text messages, which they have not released, which they could release, which could be damning in some way to Zeke. A drug-on fight continues to hurt his reputation, and it could delay his suspension to either later in the season of more integral games or into next season. All of those are the costs for the very limited likelihood of a benefit of getting this reduced to 0, which I don't think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. You're talking from a pragmatic point of view, like the practicality of it all. You're probably right. But I think there's a bigger issue here. It is about innocence or guilt. And only Ezekiel Elliott and the lady know whether, he's guilty or innocent. If he is truly innocent, he must fight this no matter what the outcome. Because that kind of stain on his character will follow him for the rest of his life. And, if you're innocent, you just have to at least, even if you lose, you have to fight it. You have to demonstrate to people that it's an injustice. You're not going to take it lying down. I want to also touch on what you said about he's not only judge but appellate judge. You brought this point up the other day. It's a good point. The NFL is judge, jury, and executioner, and appellate judge.
Don't forget investigator.
Yeah, they're everything. And if they, for example, they can grant him his appeal within 10 days of the appeal, right? But they don't have to. I think it's incumbent upon the NFL to do so, to not delay the appeal as a tactic, because they do have so much power. The problem the NFL runs into...
Well, Adam Schefter announced last night that the appeal is going to be heard August 29th.
Is going to actually be heard August 29th.
I believe that's what he said.
Right. The reason for that is, he said that on the draft?
Yeah.
The reason that is so important is because where the NFL runs into problems is because they have so much power, they are viewed as abusing it for tactical purposes or strategic purposes. It is very important that they don't do that here, that they give him a kind of speedy trial and speedy appeal. And it's very important for Ezekiel Elliott, if he didn't do it, that he appeal.
I completely disagree with you. I agree with you. I think he should drop it and move forward. But I'm going to make you laugh while saying that, Max Kellerman. I'm not speaking ill of the dead. Let me preface my comments by saying that I'm not speaking ill of the dead at all. One of the people that I'm about to bring up passed away. He was somebody that I idolized, the great Ed Bradley from 60 Minutes. Brian Gumbel's another person I idolize. He's alive and well, and I'm looking forward to talking to him soon. But let me say this to you. I bring up Ed Bradley because Ed Bradley to this day, just so you know, a little secret, when I'm doing my radio show, ESPN Radio.
Where can I hear that?
Today, every weekday, L.A., New York, Sirius XM, Channel 80, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time, on the East Coast, and 10 to noon on the West Coast.
Right? Okay, here's the deal. Ed Bradley did an interview years ago. It was with the great Michael Jackson. All right, God rest his soul. He said, Michael Jackson, as we sit here today, do you still think it is okay for a 45-year-old man to be sleeping in the bed with little boys? And Michael Jackson said, of course.
Or as Chris Rock said, right? Yes.
That's right. Of course. Not if you're a predator. Not if you're a murderer. Not if you're Jack the Ripper, which I am not. I swear to you, every time I need a laugh, I tell my producers to play that interview, because that's how much I was laughing. The point that I am making is this, and bringing that up. Michael Jackson had proclaimed his innocence on many occasions. Once upon a time, he was represented by the great Johnny Cochran. God rest his soul. What happened? Eventually, he settled. You know why he settled? Because whether he was guilty or innocent wasn't the point. It was the fact that his name was going to be in the news into perpetuity about that particular issue, and there is no win. In the end, Tom Brady, Deflategate. I'm fighting through consiglieres and others. He said, I'm gonna take this to the Supreme Court. But ultimately, he backed down and said, all right, let me take the 4 weeks off, let me chill, because damn it, this is going on too long, and constantly Deflategate is embedded in the minds of everybody else instead of actual football. Ezekiel Elliott, to go to Will's point, in the end, here's the bottom line. The longer you fight it, all we hear about is July 17th, July 19th, July 21st, neck, arms, shoulders, back, bruises, and that's
I totally disagree with your analysis and your conclusion.
Go ahead.
What I see is, yes, it keeps it in the news, that is true, and it makes it a bigger deal in some respects. But in another respect, by fighting it as long as Tom Brady did, he increasingly, I think, cemented the feeling in his fans.
Deflategate.
That's for the
Football.
people. That's for the people who were predisposed to not like him in the first place or to root against him.
Max.
Fine, but in his fans, it cemented and deepened the feeling that he was being persecuted somehow in being prosecuted, that he was innocent and it was unfair. And if Ezekiel Elliott is innocent, he must, at the very least, even if he loses, give the strong impression to those who are following that he believes he's innocent. If he's innocent.